Hey, welcome back to the Daddy Dating Advice channel. This is a live recording. This is a live presentation. Hope that you're doing wonderful out there. Hope that you're having a good time. And I'm excited to see some more people pop in here today. So let me try to find my live so I can see your chats as we come in here. Let me pull up the live. Here we go. Let me know how it sounds. Let me know how the audio sounds. Let me know what the camera sounds like. I know I put an awful lot of work into making this camera fantastic for you. So today, the topic is damned if you do and damned if you don't. Now, we are going to cover this topic in a different way, more on a personal basis, like if you have a girlfriend or if you are thinking about getting a girlfriend. But this topic today is a little bit more, again, addressing the feminist topic, the feminist idea. I have to be honest with you, this is maybe something that's tough to talk about because it's still almost taboo, even though the Me Too movement has been exposed, even though it has been exposed for what it is with the Johnny Depp case and the Kavanaugh hearings and many other things where it's obvious that these people are up to no good, absolutely no good. The thing is, it's still taboo to criticize feminism. Women, a lot of people, for some reason, still think that women are the oppressed. They still believe in the wage gap. They still believe in all of these little mantras and all of these little sayings. They don't care about the facts. You can sit down with them and tell them the facts, tell them the truth, and they still don't really seem to care about the truth, about what's going on. So what can we do about this? Well, let's address how they feel about you. How did these people feel about you? How do they talk about you as men? Of course, we know that they joke around and say, kill all men. But how do they feel about the feminist men? The men who are capitulating. Now there are some slimy men out there. I do want to acknowledge that. Of course there are. There are men out there who are pretending to be feminist just so they could have some bedroom fun, just so they could take advantage of that situation, and they want to play that little game. They most certainly do, and I'm trying to change my settings here, so give me a second on my phone. Anyways, yeah, it's obvious that women don't really care about men. They like to pretend as if this whole thing is about equality. And the whole entire time, if you talk about, some of the disadvantages of men or that men are just not being included, uh, the people will openly tell you that feminism is about men and women, that there are advantages for men. I have yet to hear of any of those advantages. Besides some people who say that we need to kick against the system and that that we're going to fight corporations. Feminists really don't talk that way anymore. In fact, they've taken over the corporations and a lot of these businesses, and in a way the feminists they are the corporations today. But what can we say? What is going on here? I'd love to hear about what some of your thoughts and some of your opinions. Let's talk about that. So, I'm still trying to get this live, this chat going. 2 hours early and 14 hours late. Jonathan Lopez. Well, I'm going to be doing this at this time. This is what I call 12 noon. Let me know what you call this. I call this 12 noon. I call this midday. Um, so sorry if I confused you, Jonathan Lopez. Sorry about that. So let's talk about this. What is going on with feminism? So this is from the Harvard Crimson. This is a official feminist website. I am not taking words out of context. I am not taking words out of their mouth. I am not twisting or manipulating anything. And in a second here, I will be talking about Jezebel.com here in a second too. But they say feminism does not need men. It does not need you. Even if you're a man who wants to be a feminist, feminists are openly saying they do not need you. Um, And they openly say, just above this, they say that this is not to say that men can never be a feminist, rather that feminism should not cater to men. So they do, not only do they say that you are not needed, you're not essential, even though men are the ones who have created or made feminism what it is. They're the ones who handed over businesses and power and things that that men built, that and their ancestors owned, the companies, the corporations, the processes, the money, the power, the prestige, things that men earned, that men deserve. They earned those things. A lot of those things have been handed over to women. They say that feminism, all too often, feminism is bastardized in such a way that to make it more palatable to men. uh, so what they're saying is that feminism is not is they water it down too much. They make it they're not they're being too nice to men. They're weakening the message. They're weakening the narrative. The mantra is not strong enough. We're being too nice to men. We're being too gentle with you. This is how they feel about you. They think that feminism is too nice to men and includes men, so they want to include men, so they weaken the message, and they think feminism is not extreme enough. It hasn't gone far enough, and if feminism should push the message even more, and if it offends feminist men, or if feminist men, even the ones who want to capitulate, don't feel like they're a part of all this, it doesn't really matter. The feminist men, they don't even matter. They openly say here that Emma Watson called upon the importance, Emma Watson is crazy, but upon the importance of including men in feminism through he for she, or when Sophie Trudeau used the International Women's Day as an opportunity. So again, they'll capitulate and make a few gestures of niceness, but ultimately this movement, they're trying to pull men into it. They try to use men, and they want to protect this because they know that men could have some influence. Men could become leaders in the feminist movement. Men could be seen as somebody who is influential or doing good, or could take credit for the things that they have done and sacrificed, or maybe some of the things that the harm, the side effects of feminism. But you can't talk about those things even if you are a feminist man. And I do want to bring up the he for she movement and website from Emma Watson here real quick. If you're not familiar with that, it's a movement where Emma Watson essentially called on men to do more for women, and she got up in front, I think it was like the United Nations, and a bunch of really, she had she made some speeches. They weren't particularly good. It was amazing that she was so celebrated. And there's a bunch of men, and again, I don't want to debate on how attractive she is in particular. I think she was a fairly attractive, but there's some men, and I guess she wanted to take advantage of that. They're so obsessed with her. And again, she's decent looking, but not amazing. And I guess that pulled a lot of really weak men into feminism. I'm not really sure who cares about he for she or how influential that was. But let's continue on with feminism, what they have to say here. They say, feminism does not need men. Let's talk about that again. This simple statement alone will no doubt spark cries of misandry and male genocide. So she's saying it's just a theory, or you just talk about that. Feminists have openly said that there's going to be casualties. There's going to be the bad things that happen. I was talking to somebody just the other day. I don't know what happened. This person could have just done something really bad to themselves, if you know what I mean, taken themselves out. And I don't know. This guy, I used to know who he was. I know I was friends with him at one point, and I get a mysterious message saying that he thanked me for being a friend, and that I treated him like a human being, and he wanted to thank me. And I tried to help the person. I tried to give him a helpline and do what I could, and didn't really want to talk to me. And this person had dated or and married somebody foreign or international, and I don't know if he got divorced. I know that he wasn't in a good financial situation. And again, there's jobs out here that are women only jobs. All these HR departments are hired by are usually controlled by women or multicultural, multi-gender people, and men are just being kicked out of society, at least the good jobs, at least the corporate jobs, and you are being, again, there is money in trade jobs, but you're not being paid what you're worth. A lot of these corporate jobs, a lot of these big business type jobs are the ones who are making the big bucks. They're the ones who are seen that have status and influence, and you as a man, you're being excluded. You're being pushed out, and also, you can't, these feminists don't even want you to talk about where you've had anything bad happen to you. No, any bad effects, any time a woman has just you've been disrespected or discouraged. I've mentioned this before, but I openly was told that I would have gotten a job if I was a woman. If that's not sexism, I don't know what is. I wanted to get a move up and get a little in a position, and they were talking about how they wanted to hire more women because that attracted men into as customers into the company, and they thought that women were somehow so much more important. Uh, and they openly told me that if I was a woman, I could have gotten that job because they needed somebody to fill that job. And I told them I wanted that position and I would work for them. And they knew that I was a hard worker. They knew that I would do a good job, but they wanted a woman in that position. And a lot of the times, a men will, as treat women almost as a leader. If you have a really strong woman in a leadership position, a lot of these weak men will work harder or be, I don't know, not speak up. If you do find a woman who can hold things together, it's strange it's how our culture has gone. You as a man being a leader or having a leadership position, that they don't want that in society anymore. That's just seen as a problem, and men, we used to respect really powerful, really influential men. You would want to learn from them. You would want to work with them. You would want to go out and get a beer with an influential and powerful man who could improve your workplace, improve your job, give you, who could, really change your life, and you could work with them and build something. But we don't even talk about that kind of stuff anymore. But let's continue on with this article. They say, after all, in a world that caters exclusively to men, of course, they're going to continue on with this narrative that the world caters to men. Of course, women spend 80% of the money. Women spend 80% of the money in Western countries like the United States of America, and yet everything is just for men. All the products, all the commercials. When's the last time you've seen a commercial with a strong, confident man, with a man who's a leader, with a man who inspired his family, who his wife looked up to him? When's the last time you've seen a commercial that in the past if there was a white man in a commercial, he was an idiot, he was an oaf, he was a stooge, he was tripping over himself, he was breaking things, he was being, he had to be told that he was dumb and stupid, even in commercials. And now white men are just not even represented in commercials at all. You see there are young people, your children going through these public school systems and these daycares in college. It's they've almost excluded traditional men, confident men, and certain genders or certain family, the family structure. They've almost like kicked it out of society. They've almost gotten rid of it. It's amazing, isn't it? But of course, this is just cries. The consequences, the harm, the damage to the family and to culture and to religion, and the side effects of all this. It's just a theory, or it really just doesn't matter. They'll get over it. They'll get over it. It's no big deal. They say, after all, in a world that caters exclusively to men, it's a revolutionary claim, claim a space or a movement where men are not considered integral. So again, they get to define safe spaces. They make quiet rooms. When people get triggered or annoyed at these cities, in these big cities, they have their safe spaces for certain multi-gender people and certain quote unquote minorities. They control what is considered hate speech and what's not. But of course, everything is just catered to men. Everything is just catered to men. We're gonna talk about this article here from Jezebel here in a second, but I don't know if you saw recently, but just yesterday, breaking news: a Berkeley law professor. She is a professor. She is somebody who's teaching your kids and has influence on our legal system. This man did not, say there were only two genders. He did not even go that far. He just asked questions about what her movement and what the feminist movement is, because the feminist movement, again, women think they can pick and choose. They can say it's about jobs. They can say it's about voting rights. They can say that it's about personal safety from bad men who might force women. They might say that it's against women getting drunk and taken advantage of. Women can pick and choose whatever they want. But the feminist movement today in 2022 and going forward is not about women. It's about trans and multi-genderism. And honestly, it's actually hurting women. Women, you can't actually have women's spaces like the swim teams, which was really famous recently that happened, where, with these men who have supposedly transitioned, this guy still hadn't gone through, trans surgery. He still had meat in the pants. He hadn't really taken enough of his pills. He still had high testosterone, and he at a college or during a women's swimming championship, women athletes or whatever it might be, you have to compete against them. They get to change and show up to your locker room. They could be dating women. They could approach, your daughter at a locker room, and it's a crime if you refuse to date somebody because they're trans, don't you know? And this is the kind of world that we're living in. This is the kind of world that we're living in. And if you ask questions about what the feminist movement even is or what it's even doing, you're not allowed to know. You're not allowed to, have a potential of kicking back or saying no or exposing them or addressing the issue. You're just supposed to go with the narrative. You're just supposed to keep on going. Let's keep on going. Let's increase the emotions. Let's increase the volume. Let's keep talking about feminism and what we want and what we're gonna do and who's the next victim. It's trans. What after that? Who's the next who's the next quote unquote minority? They've had a difficult time with the Asian thing. They thought Asians would get on board, but funny enough, the Asians also want people, they want families. That they are more traditional than they thought they would be. And the Asians also love excellence. They love performing. They want to be smarter. They don't want to feel like the victim, and they want to succeed. And a lot of these Asian people, they're the ones buying up all the beachfront property in California. There are actually a lot of really wealthy Asians. So trying to play that kind of game hasn't worked. What is it going to be next? Is it going to be the Spanish communities? Well, actually, they're getting a little bit of kickback. We're going to talk about that here in a second as well as too. But, the Latin community, they might get a lot of votes, and they are displacing, don't get me wrong, they are displacing and changing the geographics of a nation. That's what a lot of this refugee stuff is. That you are a lot of these western countries or wealthy countries, they're bringing in more immigrants than there actually are born by the actual citizens. And even if these people don't side with the feminist or these extreme modernist people, there's still going to be a cultural shift, and there's still going to be opportunity. There's going to be chaos, and there's going to be change, even if they don't get these people fully on board. Why I bring that up is because they thought that these Latin people would get on board. They're getting massive kickback from Cuba and Cubans, people who have escaped communism, people who oppose communism and oppose, bigger government, bigger taxes, control, manipulation, lies. We're getting into a time with higher inflation and food shortages and all this stuff, and this is not natural. This is not. We didn't have a famine where we didn't have rain for a year. We didn't have some kind of plague where there was something that rotted away all of our food. We didn't have something like from the Bible or whatever, that's something you might read in a book with like a huge locust swarm that ate all of our corn. Nothing like that happened. Our economy has been destroyed, and everything has been hurt. The wealth and the opportunity, things have been taken away from you because of government and because of feminists who have openly, tried to change and shift the cultural dynamic and what's available to you. Of course, you still can succeed. There are people who are becoming millionaires every year. This channel is not a doom and gloom channel. Daddy Dating Advice. You can become a millionaire, or you can become fairly happy and successful if you want to out there. But you do need to know that these people are hurting society and are hurting not only men, but they're hurting women. So if you want to help people and get people on board, you need to not only talk about your issues, which men, you're not talking about your issues, but also talk about women that you're being hurt. Your daughters are being told to shut up, that you need to see a psychologist, and that you will be blacklisted from ever working a corporate job or having a good job or losing your professional career if you do not support trans. And it's considered quote unquote violence. And when they say that it's violence to be silent or violence to not acknowledge, even if you're unsure, even if you don't want to get into the debate, even if you don't want to approach these issues that might be controversial to some people, or it might seem as a rejection. They think that that is violence, and in their mind that also justifies them and doing violence against you and doing violence against your family. And of course they get to control this narrative, and people aren't really kicking back enough. Let's continue on with this article from the Harvard Crimson. They say, on the contrary, feminism is a radical revolutionary movement. They acknowledge it. They 100% acknowledge it here in this article. It is radical. It is not in the norm. It is not something that is natural to, freedom-minded people. Free speech, you protect your property, protect your family, protect your life. These people, that's not acceptable. That to them, that is crazy. They're not going to accept it. And it's revolutionary. It's all about change, dramatic change, and they want power. Again, they pretend that it's just about women being treated fairly, just getting paid equally. They pretend as if it's just about women just getting their rights. And today, in the modern days, they pretend that it's just about also abortion rights. That they pretend as if that's a basic human right, to murder life that has been conceived. But this they do want power. They do want prestige. They are getting this power. A lot of you men aren't speaking up, and you're not making the businesses and speaking out and taking advantage of what you can do. Maybe you don't want to fight back, but you could make a business where people are decent, and you hire decent people, and respectful people, and maybe people who aren't so crazy, and and you treat people right. You don't exclude men, you don't exclude cis people, you don't exclude people of certain of religions, or certain cultures or whatever it might be. But let's continue. They say this revolutionary movement that will upheave the status quo. They're very open about this. It will upheave the status quo. It will change the social norms and what is considered normal. They will remove men as the monopolizers of power. So they want the power. That's why I mentioned this on my channel, and I try to get this message across. Feminism is they want power. And when women and these type of people get power, they don't like to give it up. America and freedom-minded democracy is actually about voting. People get put in and people get taken out all the time. There's term limits. They want to, they don't, they never talk about the limits of their power and the limitations of, what they can do and at what point have they gone too far. Of course they don't. They think that men are still monopolizers of power just because there's a few men out here who, the billionaires and the people who have lots of power. There are more men in those positions than women, but that's because, again, their forefathers and the people before them, a lot of them, not all of them come from old money, but they built those companies. They built a family and a position up, and those men took opportunity, and they're structural. It's not like these are liquid assets. It's not like there's much of anybody around here who can walk around and they can really spend, $1 trillion or whatever these people like to pretend. These people are providing products and services, and they own buildings, they own equipment, they're paying people, they're feeding people, and yet they act as if, that things are just handed to them. These people are providing what you need, what you want: power, electricity, water. But of course they want to take all those things with the government. They don't want that to be in the private hands of individuals. And that's also another point of really the danger of feminism and what feminism has become. What feminism is doing is where government is taking over almost everything. There's been the cries to take away student debt. Not only are you not only do you still trust colleges and you send your children to be brainwashed by colleges, but they can buy your children's votes. There's that. They haven't forgotten about that. They haven't forgotten about doing that, and they want to take over the financial sector. It's not like the Federal Reserve already manipulates and hurts our economy and manipulates the money supply. Again, the inflation just didn't magically happen overnight. These problems were caused by your government and by these types of people. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but they openly act and pretend that they aren't responsible, and they openly pretend as if they didn't cause this, and they did. And if you talk about what they're going to do, what are their priorities, how are we going to fix this, and you almost have to force them to give you an answer. They tell you that multigenderism and quote unquote equality, and these things, that is what they care about. They act as if that is more important than fixing the economy and having people free to buy and trade and sell and live a normal life as they choose. No, government is in the business with feminism of restructuring your culture, restructuring your life, and changing society. Government is not facilitating. People like to joke, or like to suggest, when you debate them about this and you talk about reducing taxes and reducing, removing laws and, stepping back a little bit. They like to say my infrastructure. They like to say, what about the roads? And they like to give you this straw man argument. What about the roads? What about public safety? What about water safety and all these little ridiculous things? That is, they don't even spend really like 20% of our the taxpayer money on those kinds of things. The infrastructure, they do pay a good amount of money for roads and some things, but it's very little of the what we actually spend. Why are we borrowing these trillions of dollars? That's not going to roads, and that's not really going to infrastructure. It's not going to help actual people. The stimulus package where you got sent $600 and then $1,400. I mean, not only do they know your bank account, they know your bank account, and they openly said that they're watching and targeting you if you have more than $500. Oh yes, they know exactly what you're doing, and they openly talked about that they're watching and they know everything that you in your text messages as well. But that's not really the point here. That I can keep on going with the economy, but let's continue on with this, because there is more that they have to say. There's a lot more than that they have to say. It's more about power. It's more than about money. Let's see what they have to say. They say feminism is not supposed to be palatable to men. It's not supposed to be likable. It's supposed to offend you. It's supposed to. They say feminism is supposed to be hurtful or disgusting or offend you because you, as a man, you're guilty. Even if you're a feminist man, even if you want to be a feminist, even if you have been doing all the right things, saying the right things, you know all the genders, you know all the right things to say, you believe in it, you hand over your money, they say that you're supposed to report to a multigender or trans person as your authority figure, that you're spying on other men, you're spying on on businesses, and you are reporting to these types of people, and also, the agents within our own federal government, you're spying for them. You're still, you're still supposed, this is supposed, you're supposed to feel, pretty bad about yourself, even if you're that kind of man. And this is what is pushing a lot of younger men to become trans. Because you, as a young man, you can't win. You're damned, and this is why I titled this today, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. If you, try to be a heterosexual cis man, or whatever you want to call it, a normal, natural man, you want to compete, you want to take risks, you want to be successful, you want to be healthy, your voice sounds masculine, you're strong, you got some muscle on your arms, you're that kind of guy. You're the devil incarnate, you're a monster. But on the other hand, you can be weak and feeble, you can wear skinny jeans, you can go to the parades, you can say you're an ally, you can do all the right things, but you as a man are still a problem, or the problem. They say it's supposed to be threatening. You as a man, you have to recognize the sin of your forefathers. Again, this is why I say this is like a religion. I was the first person that I know of who ever said that. There's some people who are starting to talk about this now. This is like a religion. You have to acknowledge your sin, the sin of your forefathers. You have to repent. You have to kneel at the altar of wokeism, and you probably will never be forgiven for your sins. You have to die to figure out, if you were a good little, feminist person. So they say, as for those men who are not threatened by the idea of losing power, who are genuinely committed to social justice, I want to address this because feminism is not about feminine, or about women, helping women, protecting women, being good to women, respecting women, about voting, about getting fair pay. They say social justice. This is about this is socialism. This is an aspect of it. Go look into the history of what social justice is. This is something that has almost a word that has almost become normal in our society. People just say, oh, we just want people to be treated fairly. This is a way of essentially saying socialism, that people, it's not about equality of choice. Again, we're all born in unequal circumstances. Different your parents are different, your living situation's different, you have a different skin, you have different cultures, you have different religions. But what is so great about America and freedom-minded places, countries that have adopted freedom, is that you have the equal opportunity, or the best that we can give you, opportunity of choice. These people want equality of outcome. So somebody who works 10 hours and somebody who works 100 hours, they get the same amount of pay. They get the same amount of benefits. And, and again, even if you are a man who works harder or smarter, it doesn't matter the sacrifices you make, that is not good enough. Everything is supposed to be made equal through through a social the social experiment. And they're already trying to force people. And the dangerous thing is, and I don't make this stuff up, is because these are the same people who want to get rid of your guns. Recently, also, there was older man. He actually was an immigrant, and he was working at a gas station, I believe it was, and a girl walked in. Her card was declined or something, or she couldn't pay for her chips or her soda or whatever it was. So she walks out, she calls up her thug, criminal, gangsta boyfriend. He walks up in there, and starts pushing around this guy. He's an immigrant. He's a quote unquote minority. Oh, it doesn't matter. And pushes around this older guy. He could have hit his head on a table or a corner. He could have died. He could have broken a bone. They don't care. This older guy decides to defend himself. He's in a criminal rich area. These people are dangerous. This guy, he's going to have a couple broken bones, or he might die from this guy who's just beating him up. And again, he did not mouth off. He did not insult his girlfriend. He did not say anything bad. This girl was so vengeful. She just ordered her boyfriend in there, and he just started beating up this guy, just beating him up. And so this old man gets a knife. He defends himself, and this guy, the guy who assaulted him, ends up dying. Now, this is a criminal rich city. This is a city full of crime. And maybe I'll make a whole video about this as well. And, criminals are getting let loose all the time. They're no parole, no bail. They're just getting set loose. In California and many of these bigger cities, if you steal less than $1,000, that's considered a lesser crime, and they also won't even criminalize you. If you as a public citizen try to even yell at these people or stop them, cops will tell you to stop. They are allowing people to steal and to commit theft and to steal hundreds and hundreds of dollars. This is breaking down social society. If you as a person were to stand up and stop one of these criminals who was stealing less than $1,000, that's still a lot of groceries. That's still a lot of money, wrecking society. And of course, when these companies have to, make up for those losses, the food's just and pay for the insurance for their losses. That cost is going on to you. That food in that area is just going to become more expensive, or those businesses or those companies are just going to move away, and they're destroying these communities. And if you were to stand up and take action, especially with a pew-pew or a boomstick, or if you decide to stop these people, they'd put that on international news. Again, an old man who was assaulted, pushed around, attacked, and he told the guy to stop. He openly told this guy to stop, and he had no option, and he defended himself. He was put in jail with a $250,000 bail. They reduced it after a lot of people started crying out to $50,000, and they're openly going to put him in court as for a case of murder. That this was a case of murder, and that's what he is going to have to face. And nobody in their right mind puts or opens this case in this kind of way. Nobody gets treated this way. Criminals get to walk free, but good normal people get punished. And this is the same, and why I bring this up in regards to feminism, because it's the exact same thing. If you don't use the right terminology, you don't use the multi-gender, if you don't recognize somebody's pronouns, they want to make it a crime. If you wear the wrong hairstyle, if you're wearing dreads or something that they get to claim, that they get to control with cultural appropriation, that's a crime, my friend. And people pretend as if these people are joking. They're not joking. These people, they might be a minority. I've seen some people say that these people might be as little as 2% of the population. But if they get to teach your kids at college, cultural change, things change. That people believe, and you believe in colleges. A lot of you people out there still protect colleges, and your kids are being influenced by all this. Again, I've mentioned it before. I went to a private religious college. I'm not religious really like that way anymore, but I went there. And I took an HR, a human resource department course, and the finale, the final exam, the final test of that course essentially was an encounter of essentially a white Christian redneck. Didn't say straight. They probably would talk about that these days, and that how you would address this person, how you would fire them, how you would spy on them or target them. Essentially, this was a moral test. This was a white and blue test to see what kind of person you were. And this was like supposedly the worst person ever. And it mentioned that this person also had a lifestyle, possibly hunting on the weekends. So they're a hunter. they believe in gun rights. They're a white. They're probably a conservative. They didn't say anything else, but they these days they probably would joke with each other and talk about the Orange Man and the Cheeto Man and all kinds of other ridiculous things. And this is a test. They're not there trying to test you. Hey there, Alicia. Good, Pinwill. Good to see you. Welcome to my live. So these people aren't. Feel free to share your thoughts, share your opinions. Let me know what you think. But these people openly aren't here in these colleges, and check or evaluate or test you if you're competent, if you know how a HR department works. This was a morality test. Do you have the good opinion, the right opinion? Do you fit in with the narrative? Now, I acted very neutral about this. I didn't get into the social dynamics. I didn't get into the danger of that somebody's a hunter. Oh no, that somebody is traditional or conservative. I didn't. I really just broke down the thing. My whole exam. And my response to all of this was going through the normal processes of trying to figure out somebody's character and if they had broken company policy. They wanted you essentially through this exam and this test to assert that this person was, hateful in all these different ways, and how you would kick this person or get rid of this person out of the job. Because then this is training for HR departments. These are the people who are hiring and firing you and other people. These are the people who get to control the Golden Gates into higher paying jobs, jobs of higher affluence and higher position and recognition and fame and fortune. A lot of the times these HR departments again are controlled by these types of people. I was just neutral. I talked about that we, would evaluate or try to figure out if this person had done anything wrong. I talked about, principles and things we had learned throughout the course about, studies and all this. And this college professor, again, was a religious, people would argue, extremely conservative college. They gave me a barely passing grade. They gave me like a 70. It was very well written. And do you know what this person said? How are you, Alicia? I'm doing well. I'm trying to help the world out here. I'm hoping that I'm very helpful, and that I'm hoping that you're finding some entertainment, amusement, but also good information. But anyways, I'm happy to be here with you. This college professor, do you know what they said when I just talked about the principles of the course. I didn't openly try to target white people or target rednecks, or openly I didn't try to target or claim some kind of identity or violence against some gender or some race or whatever they probably would like. They just said I was interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And do you know what that means? Do you know what that means in woke talk? That means that they suspect me of being problematic. They suspect me of being an enemy. They suspect, or they're essentially lightly accusing me of being a problem. I hope that you know that this is what's going on. And so this is why I openly tell people to not go to college. Now, I'm going to make a video all about college and what college is and what college isn't, but college is about education. Now, you can get education from books, training, personal experience. You don't need to go to college to get an education. Now, colleges can provide an education, but not necessarily. You go into massive debt. It's a scheme. Your governments and these unions, these teachers unions, they control what is taught and what's not taught. The college professors, how we got to Marxism and this social justice they talk about was from Marxism, and in the 70s and the 80s when they started. I don't want to get into evolution, but they not only were they teaching evolution, but they also were teaching and focusing on Marxism, and that's where we got this whole huge cultural shift. And we can't underestimate the cultural change and the influence and the power that this will have in future generations. People are paying tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a college where they think that they need to make social change, and they don't care about performing well in a workplace. They don't care about providing you people and our economy and our social, they don't care about providing a service or a project and helping society and making society better. No, they're going to college and being trained to be social justice warriors, where they're going to try to make things quote unquote more equal for certain races and genders and gender identities. So you people need to openly start be talking about this, and please take your kids out of these colleges, or openly fight these colleges. You're trusting these colleges, and these colleges are they're infested in all kinds of ways. They're just dangerous. I went to college and I do have a bachelor's degree, and it was one of the worst decisions I ever made. And it took me 4 years because I worked through college. I didn't get all these loans. I didn't have anybody that gave me money. I didn't get scholarships. Oh no. Nobody gave me a scholarship. I didn't even really know where to find them at first, and I certainly didn't get them. And you know, I didn't really I have a bachelor's in business management. You know, the degree doesn't have any inherent value. A college degree does not prove that you are, capable in your field of work. It does not prove that you have a certain skill set. It's just proves that you were willing to do some work, basic work. It's just a piece of paper, and your individual skill and talents and ability is really dependent on you, and that's what really matters. So you don't need to go to college to get an education. You can gain skills. You can read all kinds of books. There's all kinds of you can buy training on the internet. You can train yourself, and you can write a resume without a college degree, and you can have all kinds of skills and abilities that college students don't have. And you should be training your kids to become excellent, very excellent kids. And you could do this, but the bigger problem is, there's not a lot of women who want to be home, stay-at-home moms anymore. They also, it's very difficult to get by these days with our how bad our economy is. So they've changed this whole dynamic. You used to be able to get out of high school. You didn't even need a college degree, and you could make enough money as a regular man, just an average man, be able to afford three, four, maybe even five kids. In the past, maybe even more. After World War II, when our country was really, really wealthy, you could just get out of high school, and they were throwing really good jobs at men everywhere. And you could easily afford to have five kids, make a nice house, even live in the big city on a high school diploma. You didn't even need to go to college. So why do we have this college culture? Why do we have this college system? And these young people are getting into debt, and they're becoming disheartened. It's hurting our economy. And where's all this money going? Where is all this money going? Of course, the government has their hand in all of this as well, and unions and many other problems. But let's continue with the rest of this article here. They say, with the social justice, they say they understand that allyship is not a badge they can proudly wear and hide behind, but rather a difficult task they must undertake daily. So you can't take this upon yourself, especially if you're a man. You can't identify as a feminist. You can't wear it as a badge of honor. You can't take it upon yourself as something that benefits you. You have to acknowledge that you are the problem, and that you have to facilitate this change. And I bring this up as well is because men out there, not so much anymore, but there still are a big component of feminism, not only allowing certain things to happen and things to change, but a lot of men also are still fighting for feminism because they don't want to lose their girlfriend, they don't want to lose their wife, they don't want to lose their corporate job and their cubicle. They want to cow, say the right things, play the game, and it's difficult. If you've been trained your whole life and told that this is normal, you've been told your whole life that this is acceptable, this is good, this is what you should be, you have to be a good little boy, your mother told you about feminism, maybe you were raised by a single mother. It's difficult to even want to say anything about this, even if you as a man are being really pushed down, really excluded. There are jobs out there that say women only. The women only jobs. If that's not sexism, I don't know what is. They openly say they, don't apply if you're a man. We don't like you. We don't want you. Um, I hope that you understand what kind of situation we live in. What's going on? They say, I have faith that some men can, in time, become helpful, never integral allies. So you as a man can only hope to be helpful. You can only be the best you can strive for. In the opinion of a feminist, the best you can ever become is helpful. You know, you can you can become better than useless or a problem or the enemy. You can actually be considered helpful to what they want. That's the best you can ever hope for. That's the best you can achieve. You can never be considered essential to feminism. You can never be considered a part of feminism. You can never be considered, wearing the badge of honor of feminism. You never really can become a feminist as a man. They don't care about you. They say to women in their fight for liberation, again, they pretend as if this is about freedom. This isn't about freedom. This is about complete social change, social and political power. Feminism is about social and political power and domination, to control what society is, how people think, targeting and controlling your society, businesses, economy, your children, what people say, what people can't say, and of course, taking your rights away. These people are enemies of justice and freedom. They continue to say, and this is a government concentrator in Matherhouse. Her column appears in Alternative Tuesdays. So she is has influence. She has this. This is not some feminist who just wrote a blog. This is not some feminist who just wrote this as an angry hit piece on Twitter. This person has influence. This person has affluence and power and connections. I hope that you know this. And they've also taken over LinkedIn, which is how a lot of people communicate, how a lot of people get hired. You don't need LinkedIn to get hired, but I hope you know that this is how a lot of people communicate. And they've taken over, and in a lot of respects, the professional world. If you're a professional person, if you are a business leader or want to become, get a bunch of connections, I don't know why you would use LinkedIn. They don't. I don't know what they're promising you, but they're not delivering it. But let's continue on with this article. I want to mention Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez again recently and Jezebel, because with this feminist topic, with this social and political power, they can never accept men's choices. They can never accept you as a man having any type of choice and any kind of freedom. This boss, maybe it's not good to look at everybody just based on how attractive they are. I actually think that's a problem. I actually do agree with that. And I think that Disney has actually promoted people being judged on beauty way too much. But here, this is about when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a bar girl. And you as a bar girl are there to entertain guests, to look pretty, to put on a smile, and to bring in customers and to make customers feel welcome and serve them alcoholic beverages. That's all you do. But so you do, if you are the face, if you are a cashier, in the past it was expected, or they would like for you to be cute or attractive. It's quite normal, and it's a competition. It's actually a job with a lot of competition if you want to be a bar girl at a big bar, because you can make an awful lot of money on tips. You're also getting connections to wealthy and influential men and other people. And also, if you are a woman of, different morality, you can sell yourself out and be an escort or a sugar mama. I meant a sugar baby, and put yourself out there. And the bar scene is great for these types of women. If you don't have, for a first job. And again, these are privileges. Men don't get to go out here and become a bar boy, and older women and people just throwing money at them and tips and all this, and it's a fairly easy job. But again, with this Ocasio-Cortez I do want to bring this up because she is one of the bigger voices and one of the biggest voices for the feminist and this political change. And she openly is a, you are a nice guy. Thank you, Alicia. I try to be. I'm not trying to tear down women. I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm not trying to, disrespect or harm multigender or certain races or whatever. You have the freedom and you have the choice to be whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. But if you want to compete in any type of business, you have to acknowledge that there is a certain expectation. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not only did she not like being compared to other women, but she wasn't attractive enough. She was she was given hours, she wasn't put in the hot seat, the primetime hours of seats, where they would, you would hire or, have the most attractive women there so she would be making less tips where there would be the majority of people. And she didn't like that. She openly said that her boss was sexist because she was comparing different women's beauty. Of course, women every single day can judge a man based on how much money does that man make, what are his influences, or his power, what is his social status, what is his family like, what are his clothes like, how does he speak, what is his hair like, how tall is this man. A woman can judge a man 100 different ways till to Tuesday. She can judge him every single day and in 100 different ways, if you know that reference. And I now. Well, good to see you, Alicia, and I'm happy that you're enjoying this live. The crazy thing is that with Alexandria Cortez, that she has the audacity to call her boss sexist. She wasn't being excluded as a woman. She was actually giving privilege as a woman. But she wasn't attractive enough and friendly enough. You can clearly tell she's not friendly enough. She's clearly a feminist, so she's not going to be flirtatious enough. And she was getting a little bit older. She was getting about 25 or so. So she played the bar game. She got the benefits. She got the privileges of being a bar girl. Just handed money, handed fun, men throwing themselves at her. She had all kinds of men at her feet as well. And she still has the audacity to say that she's a little victim. And this is the kind of narrative and the attitude she used to go forward and become influential on Twitter and get a big following, because she thinks that she's a victim. She thinks that society was not good enough to her. Little Miss Bar Girl, she's not a bartender. She wasn't sitting over there really making many of the drinks. She wasn't. And she thinks that she's a victim out of all this. It's amazing. A guy out here like me, who is an Eagle Scout, kind and honest. I was working for less than minimum wage in a state that pays you $7 an hour. I was getting paid almost $5 an hour, and in the United States of America, that is dirt. And I was breaking my back and sweating, moving furniture, doing something that actually helps people. That actually, putting furniture in people's houses, installing furniture, building furniture, moving furniture from warehouse to transporting the furniture. I was doing it all. And they also got me to assemble and install certain things, which I didn't know how to do. And I was doing things that were not, I was going over beyond doing things that were not part of my job description. I was, weed eating it and mowing the front of the business. I was cleaning. I was taking out the trash, cleaning toilets. I was a menial labor. I was trash. And a woman like her with no skills, no talent, she didn't go through a program as an Eagle Scout and proved herself of a certain character, or anything. And she got a whole lot more than $5 an hour. I can guarantee you that. A whole lot more. And then she gets to move into a political position of power and continues to act as if she is the victim, and as if people like her are the victims, when they get preferential treatment. They control the HR departments. They control who gets hired and fired. And they get all these benefits and all this money. And let's not fool ourselves. let's not fool ourselves. Even before feminism, traditional women also were privileged. Now there have been and were good traditional women, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them even expect men to give them everything. They control all the spending of the family. They control what happens in these families. In general, and generally speaking, even traditional women of the past were privileged, and men gave them a lot, gave them everything. But let's continue on. Let's continue on. I don't want to focus too much on Ocasio-Cortez. I already went through this article. Please check out some of my previous videos to find this as well. And the coffee shop made that when she got fired. They made the excuse about minimum wage, and this is one of the things that they latch on to. Minimum wage does hurt the economy. It does hurt businesses, and that's a fact. And Ocasio-Cortez, not only does she not want to acknowledge the economical changes and the consequences of her own actions, but she also does not want to acknowledge her own privilege as well. And if she has had anything like the attitude she has now as a bar girl, she wasn't a very good one. She wasn't very friendly. That's for sure. But let's continue on with this article. I wanted to show you all this video here real quick. Political Matters, the Rules of Modern Dating. Now, we're not going to go through this whole video, but it's from the channel. It's called It's Complicated Channel. This is an excellent channel with over 100,000 viewers, 100,000 subscribers, and they have lots of interviews, and they're addressing real political discussions from both sides of the aisle, going and interviewing people in the public. And I'm going to do a separate video on the Latinx thing, and that's another reason why I bring up Ocasio-Cortez, is because this woman here does not even represent the Latin community. The Latin community does not want to be called Latinx, and if you don't know what Latinx even is, it's a way of trying to remove the gender in Latino and Latina, as an identity, trying to remove gender, and they're acting like it's going to help, or it's something that's encouraging or supporting or loving to these types of people, to the Latin community. It's not. It's removing their identity. It's removing danger, and it is dangerous. And these people are not going to stop. They pretend as if they control and represent these people. And I watched an interview yesterday, and maybe if you go to a really big city, and really leftist city, but normal people, they interviewed like 20 people, and nobody used Latinx. Actually, about 25% or more of them, 25 to 50% of the people had never even heard of Latinx. They didn't even know what it was. Even Latin, and again, Latin people, Spanish, Cuban, whatever, El Salvador, all those people, they said they wouldn't use it, and half of them or more said they actually disliked it. These people do not represent Latin people, and they also don't represent Americans. These people do not represent even women. And this is why you need to try to help women. You need to tell women that feminism does not help you. What does feminism do for you? How does it help you? Feminism openly attacks traditional women, family-minded women, women who want children and families, and women who don't want to go to college. Feminism openly attacks women who don't want to be promiscuous. Again, you can have whatever kind of lifestyle you want to, but feminism does not respect women who do not fall in line and act the way they want them to, or do what a good feminist is supposed to. They don't respect women. I thought they were supposed to respect women of all kinds of people. I thought you were supposed to respect and acknowledge what the minorities actually thought, or actually think. Of course, these people don't care about what Latin people think. They don't care about what Latinos think. They don't care about what these minorities feel. They don't. And again, these people are a part of the problem. But let's continue. Let's watch this video a bit. Let's see what is going on with the rules of modern dating, understanding women and it's complicated, and some of the privileges and the benefits of feminism. What is feminism? And again, some of these videos I'm doing might seem a little bit chaotic. They might seem like I'm jumping like 3 different topics and different issues. But I hope, and my dream is that I can get people involved, because lots of people have different questions. They have questions about feminism. They're not being told what feminism is. Most people don't know what feminism or any of these things are. They don't understand men's issues. A lot of men out there, they feel isolated. They feel separated. People aren't talking to them. People aren't encouraging them. A lot of them don't have fathers in the home, or their fathers might even be feminist. Imagine being raised in a home by one of these college diversity kind of people. I mean, imagine what your life is like if your father is like a CNN reporter. I mean, my goodness, imagine what you go through. But let's continue on with this article, in this video, and have a little bit more of a discussion here. And please, if you are still watching, please give me a like and a
Do you believe there is a gender war?
A gender war?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Feminism is killing this country.
Can you be more specific?
Feminism has taught us to hate men and to fear men because capital profits off of my fear as a woman. If I'm afraid of men, they can make a profit off of that.
Feminism
There's a gender war because men are the underdogs right now.
Becoming rich.
Men are the ones being told you're feared, you're
Thank you
wrong,
for the
everything
like
you
there,
do is wrong.
BB.
Go make money,
Welcome
don't show
to
emotion.
my channel. Happy to see you.
BBP. Women are making a rise to the top.
Let me know what
We've
you think.
over-feminized so much and included women so much, which is great. But we don't have to tear men down to include women.
So why is there so much talk about male privilege?
Because for a long time there was male privilege, and now the script is flipped. Now women are the ones with privilege, but no one's ready to hear that.
But why are we still talking about male privilege?
Because no one's ready for it. We're not ready to make that change. We're seeing more women in films, more women in power. The amount of jobs that I have seen that say women only is ridiculous. In an effort to hire more women and get them hired and include them, we've excluded men.
Who is more likely to be told what they want to hear?
So let's talk about that here real quick for a second. That person is trans, or some kind of other identity. I'm not sure. Respect to them. I respect them, but they openly acknowledge that there are HR departments and people who are saying women-only jobs. They don't even have to hide that they're excluding men. Men are being pushed, again, I'm telling you, being pushed out of corporations. They're being pushed out of all the good jobs, the high-paying jobs. They really are. And, again, trade jobs can pay you well, but the trade jobs, you're being paid a lot less than, somebody in a corporate office, especially in, like, New York City. You as an electrician, as a plumber, or repairing cars, you're a mechanic, you work on water systems, sewage systems, you're a trash man. You're not getting paid as much as these people. You're not getting paid as near as much, and they also don't get it. They don't see you as having any affluence or social status as well, because if you have those kinds of jobs, they're not going to respect you if you are a trash man. Well, let's continue.
Maybe us.
Would you agree that it's women because guys want sex, politicians want their votes, and businesses want their money?
Yes.
And if you control the women, don't you also control the men?
Yes.
Every sales manager knows the ABC of sales. But why stop at...
So I do want to pause this here in the middle of this before we continue on. This is something that men don't want to acknowledge and that people don't want to acknowledge. Is that, the majority of men, the vast majority of men still continue to go along with feminism, even today, even in the world where the Me Too movement has been proven as a lie, as a farce, and all these feminists are hurting and destroying societies because men simply want, have a relationship with women. Women have an attitude, again, it's funny because in the past, men would be the leaders and they would kind of determine what society was. Again, I think it should be 50-50. I think it should be fair, 100%. In the past, it is true. A lot of the times, men decided what the social dynamics and the cultural and social norms were. But today, it's the exact opposite. Women get to decide what the cultural and social norms are, and even in the past, women still had some influence or a lot of influence on what their husbands did. Women have influenced kings to go to war and to do all kinds of things. So don't say that women even in the past were powerless, but women today, not only are they controlling men who want some fun, they want they'll say they're feminist, or they will become a feminist because they want to date women. Again, some of them are lying and some of them actually are feminists, these men, but also feminists are controlling your governments, they're controlling your culture, they're controlling your city courts, they're controlling your lawyers, your governors, your judges, and all of this. In the past, men would, only listen to a woman who was really like his wife or somebody he was dating in a serious aspect. But now men have taken upon themselves, and that's how we got to, again, women did a lot of it too, but there were judges and lawyers and people, and they took it upon themselves that they needed to make social change or make dramatic change for women in general. It's quite a huge shift in culture, isn't it? It's a huge change and a shift. Men aren't calling the shots. I'm not saying that men should call the shots, but men should have some affluence and have some say in marriages. But as far as society goes, where's this equality? Where's the equality in dating? Women, they look for the benefits of so-called equality, but they don't look for the negatives of so-called equality because, in the past, women were expected to be dainty and almost weak. They were expected to, be ladies and but men also took upon that responsibility on their shoulders as well, for the women. But, that's their whole debate, that was a problem. And to a degree it was. But these women, they want to take that responsibility upon themselves. They're not fighting for equality. They want the, extreme power. Let's continue.
Women more likely to be manipulative or manipulated?
We are neither because we're taking over and we are fighting for our country.
Would you agree that
So I hope that you saw that. I'm not sure if she was a conservative or whatever, but she is a more freedom-minded woman. She is fairly sensible, but again, she's talking about as a woman that we're taking over. They're not hiding it. They're taking over. It's not about equality. And it's funny that they can say this whatever message they want, but when you sit down and you actually talk to them, they know it's not about equality. What do men have that women do not have? What privileges do men have? I don't know of any. What privileges do women have? Men have that women don't. SitQuest says they all want the cushy, high-paying jobs and let the men do all the mining. Exactly. And when they laugh when you say that they're trying to make men into slaves. They are trying to make men into slaves. Men in the future, it's going to be harder and harder to get a job where you have affluence, that you get paid a lot of money, that you have a corporate job or a political job, or it's going to be it's going to get more and more difficult as a man, to have any job besides manual labor, and people are going to start complaining as well when you want your plumbing fixed, or you want you want a light bulb changed. Somebody's going to do a little bit of electrical work, and some of these people are already getting paid $100 an hour, but that's really what they're worth, or sometimes even $150 an hour. When you go to a mechanic and you want to get a car replaced, don't be amazed if you have to pay $500 or $1,000 or more, and somebody might say, oh, car repairs are already that expensive. Yeah, it depends on the car and the part and the expense. But I'm saying for like basic repairs, 500, 1,000. Don't be amazed if you car mechanics start charging you 100, 200, $300 more every single time you have to get a repair. And then these types of people try to control what the prices of things, regulate that, say, oh, your work really isn't worth that much, or maybe you're charging too much money as a mechanic. Why don't we bring in some more refugees? Why don't we bring in some more immigrants and make the labor cheaper and hurt your life as a man? Make your labor worth less. Make your life worthless. Hurt your life, and they don't care. That's exactly what's going on. Inflation is stealing the value of your dollar. They're stealing your wealth, and they're depreciating the worth of your labor. They're taking advantage of you in 100 different ways. But let's continue on with this. These look like some festival girls from Brazil. From Brazil. Let's see what they have to say.
It's women because guys want sex, politicians want their votes, and businesses want their money.
Yes.
And if you control the women, don't you also control the men?
No.
Well, doesn't the fact that ladies' nights exist prove that if you control the women and you get them all to show up, then the guys are going to show up and spend money?
Yes.
So then if you control the women, don't you also control the men?
That's a good point there. That's a good point.
Okay.
They don't want
So
to
are we more
acknowledge
likely
it,
to
but
be manipulative
yeah,
or be manipulated?
Manipulative?
If women are so good at manipulation, why can't they recognize their own manipulation?
Oh, we can.
Yeah, we definitely
can.
know. We definitely know.
If women are so good at manipulating,
see, they're honest. They don't have anything to lose. They're festival girls. They're honest. American women, they're usually not that honest. They know that they're playing a game. Feminist women know that they don't care about equality, and that they don't care about men. That men can never be considered a feminist. That they want to take power and position and money away from men. I mean, they know what they're doing. And these people also who have taken over the feminist movement with the trans and the multigender people, they know that they're targeting and hurting families. They don't like families. If you're in a cis, normal family with a normal man and a woman raising kids, they hate that. They think that's a problem. And that's something that they got to change. That's why they openly target your kids. And they usually try to play games. They usually don't admit to this kind of stuff, but that's exactly what's going on. But let's continue.
why can't they recognize their own manipulation?
We know when we're manipulating.
But the question was, why won't you acknowledge it? But again, this is a deflection. I hope that y'all understand that even the honest women, even the women who are more honest, they're still deflecting just a little bit. She says she knows when she's manipulative, but she's not going to admit it to you or to men. She's not going to maybe control herself or step away from her privileges or the benefits that she can have. She's not going to stop herself from getting the benefits that men, all the money and all the things that men are giving. If you're a waiter, there's a huge difference between how much money men are going to give a male waiter versus a woman waiter. There's a huge difference. Same thing in the beauty industry, actresses and models and a lot of things. And I know that there's some really high paid famous male actors, but I'm just talking about in general. In the general scheme of things, they pay actresses a lot too. So,
What are your thoughts on the following conspiracy theory? That the women's movement was designed to trick women to enter the workforce in order to pay income tax?
I would say that's yes. Yes. The government is manipulating everybody.
exactly. All of these things are engineered. Again, you look at your gas prices and they blame Russia I don't want to get too much into the economy and the politics of things, but the again, we and the United Nations and other countries, it's not as if Russia stopped sending us gas. Russia didn't say, we won't sell you gas anymore. Russia didn't say that. In fact, we stopped, not only reduced their ability to ship, but we refused to buy the gas. We act as if Russia, is they're not selling us gas anymore. And that's the problem. When we are the ones who refuse to buy the gas in the first place. And we put tariffs and regulations and work with the United Nations and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just using this as an example. Because this is how the game works. This is the kind of games the feminists also play. So, and then we create the gas shortage because we could be producing our own gas, but we shut down our pipelines. And again, that gas from Russia is only 7% of the gas that we need and that we use in our country. So it wasn't very much. It wasn't that much of our gas. It really wasn't that much of a problem. But the real problem was that Biden and these people have been reducing and shutting down our pipelines and our gas production. And a country survive, just like you survive on your stomach, you have to eat. A nation or a country, I mean, food's important too, but a nation and a country survives on its fuel sources. You can strip away the power and the money and the affluence and make America very poor by shutting down its fuel and making America dependent on other nations for, its fuel supply. America has tons of gas, tons of fuel, and could be producing tons of it and exporting it. And in fact, we were doing that. It was just a couple years ago, and we had tons of fuel. Gas prices were getting really, really cheap. Record lows. Wasn't too long ago. But I wanted to bring this up in regards to feminism because it's the same exact kind of thing like with inflation. Inflation doesn't happen naturally. You have to print tons of money and make money less more. You have to be producing more money, increasing the money supply so that your money is worth less and less. It's the same way with feminism. Is there really a problem? Are men really sitting at HR departments and excluding women? No. There's been debates at this. There's some of these Celtic nations like Denmark and the like, and they still scream feminism. They scream feminism into the sky. And yet, still, the majority of women decide to be nurses, and the majority of women decide still, even though they're feminist, they decide to go more into humanitarian fields, where they help people on a personal basis. They don't want to go into, most of the women, most of them don't want to go into, really get into engineering, fields that require heavy labor or heavy mathematics or heavy analytics. That's not what a lot of women naturally want to do. But of course, we, for some reason, think that we need to socially engineer, and we ignore that we caused these problems in the first place, that naturally, organically, biologically, a lot of these people need to go back to biology class. They shouldn't have passed middle school. They don't understand basic biological principles that women naturally want to be homemakers and help people and care about people and have kids and care about kids. But of course, we're going to have this whole change. They're never going, it doesn't, feminists will never, have never, and it doesn't look like they will ever be held accountable or acknowledge the consequences of their own actions. Feminism is leading women to be unhappy. That's the truth of the matter. Feminism is making women unhappy, but we're still going to go on this charade. How long is this going to go on for? Is it going to go on for another 10 or 20 years? Are we going to destroy America and destroy other Western countries and they pretend as if we're not moving towards socialism, as we have a social healthcare, we have complete social programs, extreme taxes, and government programs that do redistribute the wealth. They're taking over our economies, the fuel systems with this green initiative, redistributing wealth amongst all the different countries, stripping away America's wealth and your country's wealth, especially if you live in a bigger country, a successful country. It's your responsibility to become poor. I guess it's a sin to become successful. And again, I have nothing against humanitarian acts, helping out people. I mean, how much money has America given to foreign countries and to Africa and all across the world? Giving books, giving computers, doing drilling wells so that they have fresh water, helping, spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to stop the AIDS epidemic and all kinds of other things. Now, have been lots of people have done wrong, and there's a lot of things that are really wrong in regards to a lot of things. But how much money, how many donations, the charity, the goodwill do these nations give? It's not good enough. They want these United Nations, globalist, super powerful people don't want you having power to choose, influence, rise up, change, and they don't want you to have any type of control, any type of affluence, any type of decision. Again, these types of things aren't made up. When they talk about the Great Reset, they meant it. Justin Trudeau meant it. When George Bush Sr. said New World Order, he meant it. When these types of people, talk about, making men, third-class citizens, essentially, you can't become a feminist, and the only good people are feminists. So, again, they laugh and say that this isn't about making men slaves, but if a man can never be a feminist, it's Animal Farm. Some people are more equal than others. And with politicians and the like too. America and freedom-minded countries are about individual freedoms. They've stood up for that and protecting the individual. We weren't supposed to have classism. You weren't supposed to be controlled, put in a box, told that your family or your region or these freedom-minded countries weren't supposed to be here trying to limit or control, what kind of positions you have, if you could have political power or influence, or have a good job, or move up, get into a certain industry. You know how that kind of works. Like India had that for a really long time. It was really, really bad in India, where there was a class system where certain families and certain people, it's like your family and these people have to be bakers and these people have to be this and this, and you people have to do this, and you can never get out of that. They controlled that. We're kind of, and that ugly head, that ugly mentality of, the politically rich and the political elites is happening in America. These people should be paid little to nothing, these political people, and almost everything the government is doing is unconstitutional, against the principles of freedom and justice and really equality. I mean, your governments are trying to socially engineer and control and manipulate your people and your economy. How long are you going to tolerate this? How long are you going to accept this as they steal and manipulate and control and they get rid of you, with immigration and things like this? How long are you going to tolerate this? I don't know. How long are we going to accept it? I hope that my channel is helping people to change and changing the world to be a better place. But let's continue. Let's continue on with this video.
Comes from all different angles. So it comes from men judging men, men judging women, women judging men, women judging women as well.
So are women more likely to be manipulative or be manipulated?
Here in a second.
Because men little sister.
And this is my big sister, Gaia. My name's Amelia.
Maybe we should
I'm
watch
teaching
this.
Gaia karate, and I'm teaching Gaia English, and Gaia's teaching me some, what is it called?
Italian.
Italian. And Gaia's the best sister ever.
Great
Having a
culture
little sister.
exchange. I mean, nothing's wrong with learning extra languages. But let's continue.
Manipulated.
Can you think of any time in recorded human history that women have had more power than right now?
No, we have the most power right now. Look behind me. It's all women.
Can you tell me any countries other than Western ones like America, Australia, and England where women have more power than they do in those regions?
No, I think we have the most power in the United States of America. That's why everybody wants to come here.
So why do women feel
Well,
so
she's kind of
oppressed in both the time
pro-America,
and place where
but
women
yeah,
seem to have the
America's
most power?
still-
I don't think women feel oppressed. I think the media tells people that we feel oppressed. We're not oppressed.
So why
I mean,
do women...
I've seen a few college women who act fearful. But what do women have? What do women have to be afraid from? At least, especially in America and Western countries. I mean, what is there to be afraid of? Men are giving you everything. Men want to give you everything. Men are, capitulating and sacrificing, and you go on Instagram, men are liking all of your photos. You go on OnlyFans and any of these websites, and men are throwing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, tons of money at women. Women get complimented, women get treated, women can become escorts, women can do anything that they want. They can get all these jobs. They get preferential treatment in the hiring process with affirmative action. I mean, what do women have to be afraid of? It's true. I mean, tell me. If you're a feminist watching this channel, or a feminist who comes across this channel, I mean, I don't deny that some men are bad actors and some men are doing some bad things, but the number of that has significantly decreased. It's actually pretty rare. It's fairly rare, and the bad actors who are the bad men who do anything against women, and there's a huge difference between violence and the economical issue. Again, those are two different factors. Again, they love to, just like recently, it's actually trending news right now. With the abortion argument, they like to use another straw man argument and lie and pretend as if it's just trying to protect women who have been violated. There was like a 10-year-old woman or a little girl, and she was forced and she had gotten pregnant, and it's terrible. It's terrible and it's bad, and she should be able to get to an abortion, but she should have gotten it earlier. She was, I think, 6 weeks into her pregnancy, and she had to go to a different state, cross state lines, and she got rid of that baby. Now, it's a huge debate is if she should have done that or not. But I think, she should have been able to do that. But again, why did she wait past that period? Why did she wait so long? I mean, that should be the big question. But they love to use that straw man argument as if that's the issue. No, women out here are treating abortions like they're birth control. If they happen to have a child, just get rid of that child. And they want to be able to murder children even if they're 8-9 months into pregnancy, even if that child is fully developed. And yet they lie and they try to, change the topic or change the discussion. These people aren't honest. But let's continue on. And I see I have some comments. Let me read some of these real quick. LV says, very important to learn other languages. It's a real bridge builder. We need a massive alliance to defend our way of life. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I've mentioned that topic, and I need to make a video about it, is that you need to make friends with people all across the world. Not only will that give you business opportunities and friendship, and you'll find like-minded individuals all across the world, but you also, if you do care about people, you need to speak out against feminism and help these countries and protect them against feminism. Most of these Western countries have already been taken over Belgium, Sweden, Denmark, France, Germany, Spain, all these countries, Italy, all have been taken over by feminism. Most of these Western or Western-like countries, they've already been taken over. But India is starting to be taken over, and some of these other countries, they're starting to feel their influence. You know, nations out there all across the world are being influenced and are being taken over, and of course, you're not allowed to know where the money is coming from to fund these types of politicians. You're not allowed to know where this money is coming from to support these people who, you know, have unpopular ideas or, you know, don't really have this money to begin with. And coming from the money's coming from somewhere, but yeah, definitely learn other languages. Try to, and again, I'm not going to focus on that today, but if you as a man want to find a traditional woman, if you do want a family, you might get really lucky. You know, but even if you're in a religious community, your chances of finding a traditional woman in America, it's very difficult. And you better be putting yourself out there. If you're thinking that you're just going to go to your local church, and maybe you are lucky enough. Maybe you will find a decent person. I'm sure there's a few of them, but most of you men, this is a competition. Women, they go to Hot Girl Summer. They're traveling the world. They're having their fun. Why shouldn't you try to find somebody who's going to try to work with you? And I mean, again, all these women, they can import all of these men from foreign countries. They're not children. Most of these people are economic migrants. And of course, they can date those people if they want, and they can take advantage of them. But you as a man, I've had people tell me I was disgusting. I've had people tell me that I was disgusting when all I did was say that men should go and try. And I'm supporting, you know, relationships or even possible marriage where the laws are fair and where the laws are decent for, you know, men and women. You know, I was suggesting that you go and find somebody internationally, because America and most of these Western countries, they're just messed up. And not only are these women feminist, they have expectations that are far too high. You know, they can make 30, 40, 50,000 pretty easily, you know, working basic jobs and get paid just as much as you. Why do they want to settle for Joe Blow? You're just a basic man. And in regards to looks, they think that 80% or more of men are average or below average looking. So that is why the majority of men are just being ignored. And with these Western or American women, when people talk about that they want men who are 6 foot tall, have six figures, making well over 100,000. 100,000 is basic. I mean, there are average looking or even unattractive women out there who are short. They have bad habits. They're obese, morbidly obese, and they have bad attitudes, and they still expect. Actually, they think it's normal. I mean, they think that they shouldn't even have to ask. They think a man, you know, 6 feet tall, $600,000, and he's got he's got a big sausage in his pants, should just show up, and she's still the prize. She's the table. You know, she's still the prize, and they think this is normal. If this is our normal society, again, I'm not benefiting from this. I'm not wealthy. I'm not rich. If women want to act like this, wealthy men might as well start treating these women like harems, or just using, pumping and dumping them, because they have that potential to do that. I mean, and eventually, hopefully, women will recognize that, relationships where there's some kind of love and some kind of responsibility, and is normal. Maybe we're going to have to repeat history here, because maybe we'll have to go back to that. We're going to have a short period of time where there's polygamy again, and harems, and wealthy men are getting all the women. because, and maybe eventually there'll be a cultural shift as women get annoyed, and it would be better for them if they would date just one man who would actually care about them, and they would have more protection, and and love and attention, and it would work out probably better for them. But I've talked to modern women, and you might think that this is crazy. You might think that me talking about this is absolutely bonkers. I have actually brought this topic up to women, and I wasn't talking to average women. These were above average women. These women were attractive. If you were to rank them, these were 7, maybe even 8s out of 10s. And I asked them point blank. I said, you're talking this way, and they were talking about a guy, and they like this guy, and he's 6 foot tall, he's attractive, he's making over 6 figures, and all that, all the business, he's got it all. He's the trifecta. And I'm like, he's only one man. You can't all date him. Are you looking to get into like a harem situation? It's like, what about the loyalty? It's like, do you care that if he loves you or uses you, or do you care if you're building up a family? And they told me that they don't care. They'd have a harem. They would be happier if to be shared with one guy, like 5 to maybe even 10 different women. And they would actually be happy about that. If he has enough money, they don't care. And this is the type of moral culture and the I guess the immoral culture, and the thing that we're getting back to. Again, feminism can act like it's so futuristic. Feminism can pretend as if it's so modern, and so they use the word progressive. Please do history and look into that. That is a part of social justice and an actual political powerful movement. Please go do your own research and look into what progressivism even is. Brendan, good to see you. Sup, man? And I bring that up too, and I got to make a video about it, is because Hillary Clinton let it slip from her lips in the political debates. She said, "Aren't we all progressives?" And she meant that. And there was some, and that means something. And they used to teach that in history classes, that there were progressives, and it was a political movement, and they called themselves progressives, and they thought they were moving towards a utopia society. They're progressing, that they're moving towards a state of perfection, and that the government is supposed to help create this nation or a state or a being of utopia or perfection. And you know how that always works in the movies, don't you? You know who the villains are usually in the movies, right? It's usually the utopia people, just like communism, who are willing to sacrifice and hurt and harm and manipulate others, and even commit massive genocide. But let's continue. Let's continue with this article. And I don't know if these girls are in Las Vegas or if these are Brazilian girls doing a festival. Down there. I'm not really sure, but let's continue.
Feel so oppressed in both the time and places where women seem to have the most power.
Because I feel
Still not equal.
we're getting up there, but we're not equal yet, and I think that's rough.
How
What
do we
way
know
is it?
when we've achieved equality?
When women are paid the same as men, for one. I feel like if we're doing the same job, why am I getting paid less?
And these are street
I mean,
girls.
when we're at a place
They
where
get to walk around and look pretty and walk around in bras and panties and get paid tons and tons of money, and they act as if men and women aren't paid equal. She still believes in the pay gap. And I mention things like that is because your little daughters and your little girls are being taught that kind of stuff in your daycares and in your public schools. And maybe even her own mother, maybe her aunt, or even her own grandmother, who's a feminist, told her to believe this and told her this was a problem, and she's going to probably believe that the wage gap exists for her in her entire life. No matter what facts you give her, no matter what kind of information you tell her, no matter how privileged women become, they're still going to believe this kind of stuff because it's a part of their identity. It's a part of who they think they are. And I bring that up again is because the women in the past, they controlled, even in marriage, even in traditional, you could say nuclear family marriages or quote unquote patriarchy, the women still controlled most of the spending. The women still controlled what the family did, the children's education, the children's lives. The women really controlled most of everything, even in the past. But it's and even before in marriages, let's say we go back in the past where people are, more even tribal societies, like her as like a hey there, Alicia, good to see you. Happy to see that you're still here. Let's talk about like more tribal societies or different cultures. A woman out here as a street performer, wearing a panties in a bra in public, and selling herself or marketing herself to for the quote unquote pleasures of men, is it how does she think she's a victim? She's getting paid a lot more money than the average man. She's getting paid more than electricians or plumbers or mechanics. And in the past, she would have been maybe making more money than an average soldier. And please look into history, because people are not evaluating history. The kinds of things that destroyed like the Roman, the Roman nation, the Romans, I guess you could say, was, when the culture started falling apart. The men weren't motivated, and the men didn't get to see how they could succeed or in what ways they could succeed. They started putting prostitutes in positions of legal and political power. Hey, more power to you. If you want to be, live that kind of lifestyle, and you want to get into politics, hey, more power to you. And I brought this up before, but if we as a culture and a nation embrace that as a cultural norm, that you're supposed to respect women and listen to women and give them political power, and that they get to determine what is socially normal, which is what women really, they've been really kind of doing throughout history, and she's a prostitute, then there's no marriage, children aren't being protected, children aren't being raised with common values, there's men and women aren't working together in family units. And that's the kind of stuff that destroys societies. And I bring this all up because we're not seeing it's about to happen to America. It's about to happen to America. We have OnlyFans girls, and again, more power to the women who want to sell themselves and do whatever kind of work that they want to do. But if that's our cultural norm, if that's considered as what's the best thing for society, if we adopt that as our common culture, there's going to be less and less families. There's very few families anymore to begin with, or healthy families, and and women are going to embrace this and aspire to be somebody like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was a waitress, a bar girl, who sold herself out and got into political power, and pretends that as if she's a victim when she was being handed money and thrown money at her, and then got political power and affluence, and then wants to take money away from men and influence and power, and she wants to change the whole thing. She wants to lead us to socialism, and where men have, I guess, little to no choice, and they, men are just used. She thinks it's a problem that, again, these women, they get to benefit from this when they're younger, when they're more attractive. They get to benefit from this. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got to benefit from being pretty and young, and in the bar scene, getting tips, getting attention, getting validation, getting money from men. I don't know if she sold herself out, but who knows? And then when she gets older and she's no longer as attractive enough to compete with the 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds, she screams patriarchy. She screams victimhood. And she wants more power and more privilege, and she also tries to, tear that that thing down that benefited her. You know, she got all those benefits. Let's continue. Let's continue on. It's just amazing to me that men have went along with this, and that women have the audacity to pretend as if they're victims. I mean, women throughout history have never had to work as hard as men. They've never had to sacrifice as much. They've never had to bleed like men. They've never had to go to wars like men. And yet, but yet I respect the power and something that makes women very powerful and very a unique power that they have, which is raising children. But feminism does not acknowledge the power and the responsibility and the opportunity and the value of raising children. Feminism is working to promote abortions. Feminism is working to promote women having no children or children into older ages. I respect women having children. I respect the sanctity of life. And you as a man, if you went out here, and hopefully you'll start speaking like this, maybe, you need to vet women. Again, a lot of you men are trying to convince yourselves to date, have fun with, or even marry women. And you need to know, again, some of you men, you might not care about the sanctity of life. But if you want a family, or if you want to have a somewhat normal relationship, if she doesn't respect the sanctity of life and recognize that, she has a superpower, and she's not a victim, and one of her most powerful things that she can ever do is have a child. If she thinks that having a child is gross or disgusting, or she doesn't even essentially want to be a woman, you're dealing with somebody who's probably unhealthy. You're dealing with somebody who probably, you could find somebody better than somebody who doesn't even recognize, their own gender. Let's see here. Let me read your comment here, LV. And again, happy to see you, Alicia. LV says, I've just finished a book about the porn industry. Cinderella becomes queen, becomes the witch. She becomes the queen, and then she becomes the witch. That's quite interesting. It kind of is that way, isn't it? The same women who benefited on selling themselves out, and then they get power and they get position, even political power, which is a lot of what's starting to happen. And then they want to demonize and control and prevent the same kind of industries, and the same kinds of things that benefited them and got them into that position in the first place. It's quite strange, isn't it? It's quite strange. And this is kind of, I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's similar to that queen bee syndrome, where a woman wants to control the whole situation, and they don't care about the consequences. They don't care about the negative impacts of the things that they might do. So I'm not saying that women are completely responsible for all this obsession with, the green tech and the global warming and all this stuff. But when you say that we can't produce enough fuel or to actually sustain our own economy and our own nation, and you say that there's too many people on the planet, and we need to reduce our carbon emissions, so you're intentionally decreasing the availability of food, so you increase the prices. When I don't know if y'all know, but Joe Biden sent a lot of those oil reserves where we're making our country weak, and we're making ourselves putting ourselves in danger. Our critical oil reserves that are for emergency use only. It's really illegal what he did, but I don't know if y'all know, but he sent off most of that to foreign countries. He sent it away. It's not going to benefit you. It's not going to benefit America. He sent it away to other countries. He sent it away. He got rid of it. And I hope you know that a lot of it was sent to China. And these are the kinds of things that, you lie and you manipulate and you connive in regards to a whole agenda, and then you strip away a country's wealth and its protections. So this is the kind of consequences you get. when you don't hold people accountable. And you know, this stuff is happening. You know, Ocasio-Cortez was a popular is a popular person on Twitter. I have no doubt that people like Amaranth and OnlyFans girls and some of these people, some of them might become politicians. And it's going to become crazy. LV says the Roman Empire became too big and corrupt, infested in the Senate. Yes, I do agree that that is an aspect of it. They weren't able to control their own borders. That's an aspect of it. He says Augustus and Liv, his wife, was the best period of the Roman Empire. I don't know exactly what was the best, time in the Roman Empire, but it morally became corrupt. Yes, they became too big. Yes, it was hard to control, but they could have controlled it. They could have sustained it if they would have had the culture and if they would have had, everybody working together, like they should have. The correct, children being taught the Roman culture and the politics and the nation working like it should have. But let's continue on. Let's continue on with this video here. I don't want to go over the whole video, but they say a few more interesting things. And I'm not being gloomy on this channel. We're going to talk about some solutions at the end of the video here today. We're going to talk about some things we can do to change things and make this country, or make the world a better place, make everybody happy. So let's see.
Where male politicians aren't making choices over our bodies when they have no...
I mean, aren't there female politicians making choices over female bodies as well?
100%. There is. And
okay, maybe this will be our last point of discussion in this here. I don't know if y'all know, but with Roe versus Wade, the first time they voted to put that into law was by they were like all white men. So the argument about, men are the problem, it doesn't really hold up, because, again, Roe versus Wade was decided upon by like all men, and they were white men to begin with. Now the Supreme Court is more diverse with men and women and people of different cultures or minorities or whatever, and they decided against it. So it's not a man's versus woman's issue. They can continue to lie about these kinds of things and spin this narrative. How long are we going to accept it? How long are we going to listen to these types of people and they get to control the narrative? And again, a lot of these people are extremely uneducated. If you go ask these people who are high school graduates or even college graduates, they know little about nothing. I mean, it's like you control them. I don't know if you saw my video a couple days ago, but somebody literally tried to do interviews and went around the public and asked a woman who was the first person that we got to land on the sun, and she was trying to guess, and she was like, it's almost saying like Lance, and he was like, do you mean Lance Armstrong? And she said, yeah, Lance Armstrong. They literally said that Lance Armstrong was the first person to land on the sun. And I'm sure that you've seen these people go throughout towns and cities and places. People don't know a darn thing about history, and we're getting to the point where and that's why we're so easily controllable. Where it's so easy to control us and to manipulate us. The United States of America and a political system is ultimately dependent on its citizens. The responsibility of education is upon the individual, not your public education. And it's the responsibility of education is also upon families. Now, there does need to be some kind of educational system. In the past, we had trades, and also were called guilds, and that might sound like something from a medieval video game or a fantasy book or something. But everybody was if you went to the guild. Instead of a college, you were actually trained in a certain career. You were actually trained to do something around people who had skill and experience and ability. And when you graduated from that guild, you actually actually had a skill, actually had an ability, and you had produced work, you had done things, often you would go there and you wouldn't pay to, you would actually have to work for the guild. You would learn an ability, let's say as a smith or a glass blower or a furniture maker, whatever it was, and you would have to, throughout the program, you would be working and producing things of value that they would sell. And so you would be funding yourself as you developed skill and through the entire process. And that's how it worked. Why don't we have anything like that? Our colleges are teaching you what they think little moral lessons and trying to shape and form you, but they're not really teaching you to any skills or any abilities or much of anything that's actually applicable in the workplace. And you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into debt to get a diploma that doesn't prove anything. Now, there are colleges that have reputation. Like, everybody likes to talk about Harvard and Notre Dame and some of these. Yes, they do have a reputation, and some people they garner a certain level of respect, and you're more likely to get hired if you do go to those colleges. But is it really worth it to go to those colleges? No. If you would have spent that money training yourself, especially in this world where we have the internet and technology, you could have invested that money in something else. Again, I really can't get much of a job anymore as far as I can tell. But when I was doing lawn work, I paid for my college, and I paid, for tons of religious stuff. And, I saved almost like $17,000 by the age of, like 20 or so. I could have invested that into a decent little car, into furthering my education. I could have gotten a trailer and started my life. But again, I wasted like all of that. I wasted it all. It was all thrown away. So it's crazy to me that we talk, we have these discussions on privilege. It's inaccurate about a bunch of other stuff too. Let me see here. Let me read your comment. Django Unchained is historically inaccurate. There were never Mandingo fights, slave owners value. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people lie about stuff in regards to history, the Roman history. There was never really a slave revolt in the Roman Empire that overthrew the empire or shifted the power. And again, I don't want people to be slaves or anything, but the slaves didn't overthrow the Roman Empire or cause a huge social, cultural shift or a divide or a change or anything like that in that history. There were little revolts here and there, perhaps, but there was never really anything that really changed the history, I guess you could say, like that. So, what are my final thoughts in this video here today? The topic was damned if you do and damned if you don't. My topic is that men, the point of this video, you as men, you can't win in regards to, trying to capitulate to feminists. They will never be satisfied. They will never accept you. You will always be considered a second-class citizen. Should we love each other? Should men love women? Yes. But men have been sacrificing and giving everything throughout history for women. Men have been sacrificing, capitulating, working with, and caring about, and loving, and dying for women and children throughout human history. You as men need to work on yourselves. Again, a lot of you men out there. And again, I love women. I'm going to make a point to the women as well here in a second. But you as a man need to focus on your own success. You need to focus on your own career. You need to build your own businesses, encourage and develop culture and society. You don't have to become a political actor. You don't have to become a political or a social activist. But do encourage the lifestyle and the things that you believe in. Develop a company, develop a business. encourage and support the things that you love. You don't have to debate with these people, but certainly don't capitulate to them. You know, if you are looking for marriage, if you or dating in a long-term relationship or something like that, you need to figure out and vet these people. And if they are feminist, if they hate you, if they think that you're a problem, she's not gonna, even if she falls in love with you, even if she marries you, she's still gonna think that the pay gap exists. She still thinks that you need to be working with her to fight the patriarchy. So please don't date these feminists, and honestly, it would be good for you men to start try to again date women who have not gone to college, and that's still that's no insurance. You know, there's still huge risk. There's lots of feminist women who have never been to college, but a woman who's gone to college is a lot more likely to be a feminist. So please, you know, try to date women who have not been to college, or vet them. A lot of these women are happy to expose that they're feminists. Most of them. Some of them will be sneaky. Some of them will, but a lot of these feminists are happy to say that they're feminist. They're happy to go to rallies. They're happy to march. They're happy to, you know, dogpile on you and put you down and say that men are, you know, they're dumb and they're stupid, etc., etc. So I encourage you men to, you know, be a little bit picky. I see you men out there, and you're willing to accept women who are far less attractive than you. You're willing to accept women who insult you. You're willing to hand over all of your money. You hand over all of your money. The woman, she spends all the money in your relationship. She controls the money in the marriage, or even in a long-term relationship. Why are you doing that? And if you are a man, and you do care about a family, you best date or have a woman in your life that is going to respect you as being a father, where you get to teach and, you know, possibly punish, or you know, where you get to actually be a father and actually be a leader in a home. You know, again, a woman has leadership in a home. A woman has power in a family, but a man does as well. It's almost extinct. Besides in some religions, and to some people, it's people in modern culture aren't talking about, you know, men being leaders and being fathers. I mean, that's like extinct to them. That's like dinosaur talk. That, you know, that's like Mark Dice. That's who you're talking about, OV. Yeah, it's almost extinct. You know, you could go through you know, daycare and public school and college, and unless somebody decides to go watch an old movie, again, places like Netflix are trying to get rid of Western movies. Unless you go and watch like an older movie or something, a lot of these modern people have absolutely no exposure. They've never seen a masculine man, a really masculine man. I'm not talking about a six-pack. I'm not talking about a guy just because he has muscles. I'm talking about a guy who talks masculine and acts masculine in real life. I'm not talking about a movie, but, you know, there's not a lot of masculine men even in movies anymore. But, you know, you might have a lot of these people have gone through their whole life and never had a male role model. Even if they wanted a male role model, they've never seen one. I mean, I went through high school in the South in the 90s, and there were only like, I think there were 2 men who were actually high school professors. It might have been 3, but I think there were only 2. One of them was weak, and one of them was kind of masculine. And the one that was kind of masculine, oh yeah, a little feminist hated him, and tried to argue with him all the time. And he didn't even try to be conservative. He didn't even try to be conservative or anything. But she was angry that he didn't, as a teacher, try to, you know, spread feminist and left-leaning ideologies in the classroom in history class. You know, you as men, I hope that you know, a lot of you men have decided to just step away or just be silent, or maybe a lot of you men are out there you're just chasing tail, and you're not, you know, you're not stepping up, trying to be, you know, a part of the family. And I know that you've been kicked out A lot of you men have been through divorce courts, and you've been kicked out of the family, and women don't want you to be leaders in the households and leaders of kids, and all this stuff. Again, women are free to do whatever they want, but it's not really healthy that really young women are just going to be selling themselves out. I mean, fathers would put a stop to a lot of this. If fathers were actually teaching families and teaching their children, sons and daughters, we'd have less crime. Men would be, care more about women. They're and all these things that supposedly the feminists want to stop. Fathers in the household, fathers being here is really a solution. Women all the problems with women being taken advantage of, and women not having enough education. If fathers were in the household, you'd have a lot of this stuff. I mean, there'd be a lot more of these things that supposedly that they care about. So, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. If you try to speak up for freedom or for justice or for families or for love, love's extinct as well. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So, what can you do? All you can do is work for that social change that you believe in. Again, at one point feminism didn't exist. At one point 40, 50 odd years ago, feminism didn't exist. These types of things didn't exist. And a lot of these problems didn't exist. You can work to change, or for change, again, that you believe in. You could work and be an influence towards the culture and the beliefs and the things that you want to see. You don't have to accept defeat. I see a lot of men just not speaking out. They're not saying anything. They're just accepting defeat. They're just deciding to be silent. They're deciding that they can't win. It's just a losing battle. That a lot of men are saying, I should just give up. And I've felt that before. I've felt like the world was against me, and I felt like I couldn't make any change. You as men can develop the culture that you believe in. Now there's extreme dangers. If you do decide to get married and the divorce courts are against you, women can rob you. Women can take almost everything from you in divorce. So don't get married, but if you do want to have a marriage-like situation, a long-term relationship, you can still have that. If you do build yourself up, you can move to another country or find a woman who is more traditionally minded. There are all kinds of opportunities for you men. You can become speakers. You can become actors. Men, you can become politicians. Men, this isn't a losing battle. Maybe it's gonna, maybe us as men, maybe we can't save America, or maybe it's gonna end up, no matter what we do, we can't save the West. Maybe we're just gonna have to go through a whole nother, the sun keeps on turning. We're gonna have a whole nother cycle. History's gonna have to repeat itself before things become more normal or more decent. Who knows? But at least try. I mean, not only do you have an opportunity, you can find that purpose. Again, I'm not here as a man, Daddy Knows Best channel, I'm not here trying to tell you what your responsibilities are. That's not the purpose of my channel. I think that you as a man need to decide for yourself, what is your purpose? What are you responsible for? And what are you working towards? You need to have your own personal ambitions. You need to have things that you're working towards, things that motivate you, things that, make you feel good. Your personal motivations cannot come from feminists telling you what to do. It cannot come from political leaders. Your personal motivations shouldn't be coming from whatever society tells you it should be. It's not normal for you as a man to capitulate and to be weak, subservient, and to look towards feminism for leadership, or whatever you're told that you should be doing as men, or making yourself extremely weak, humbling yourself to the point where you're fearful, and that you're having panic attacks, and that you're you have crippling anxiety as a man. That's not normal. You as a man should be emotionally and physically and financially healthy and independent and self-sufficient. Uh, People don't want you to be independent. People don't want you to think for yourself. People don't want you to have the choice to choose for yourself and to have the power to influence and change society and other people. But you do have that opportunity. You do as a man. And I hope that you will see your potential. And it doesn't matter, if people disrespect you or disagree with you or attack you, or you as a man, especially if you're a younger man watching my channels, you're going to go through huge hurdles. You're going to be going through problems and things that I never had to experience, and things might be even worse for you than I can even imagine. Almost unimaginable. But you can still come through this and be happy and succeed, even though it's going to be tough, especially tough for a while, especially in your younger years before you build a business or have a career, and where you start to get before you have that little bit of independence and that little bit of freedom, where you can kind of walk away from the people who are trying to insult you and mock you and put you down all the time. It's going to be hard. But I hope that my channel is a voice of freedom, a voice of reason, and that I'm encouraging people out there to be successful. Now, I'm going to read your comment here, LV, here in a second. But the last big point I wanted to make here is that you women also, feminism isn't here to make you happy. They obviously are promoting trans and multi-gender, and they're willing to sacrifice you women out there. You women out there, you're being pushed down by feminism. Feminism is not for women. It doesn't care about women. It never really was about women, besides in the beginning, women getting full voting rights. In the very beginning of it. For a long time, for a very long time, for decades, feminism has not really been about or for women. Now you can pick and choose whatever you want to out of feminism and be a part of the group and feel empowered and feel like you have feminist friends and feel like you're moving forward with the most important thing. And some of you women out there, you do care about other people, and you are you feel like you're fighting for justice, and you feel like you're fighting for decency. Now, the thing that's going to bring you the most happiness, no matter what your little feminist friends say, is having a child and having a happy family with a man who respects you, who loves you, and wants to raise that child to also be a productive and healthy and a good member of society, and you, that's an amazing opportunity for you. Now, a lot of you women out there don't want that. You've rejected it. You think that that's gross. You think that it's strange, whatever. But for you younger women, you need to decide for yourself what is going to bring you happiness. What is going to bring you happiness? Is it working 9 to 5 at an office job? Is that going to bring you happiness? Is it marching in the streets with a JJ hat? Is that what's going to bring you happiness? For marching in the street for feminism, is what going to bring you happiness? Is flings and selling yourself out to wealthy men for the rest of your life until you get older, until you get into your 30s, and then you think that you deserve a wealthy, affluential man who's gonna cook and clean for you or whatever. Is this what you think is normal? Do you think this is what your life is supposed to be? Now, you can have whatever kind of life you want to have, but I hope that you women, especially you younger women, take a good look. I hope that you women take a real good look around you, and try to figure out, what's going to bring you that happiness, what is in your best interest, and you might be surprised that what is in your best interest, what's going to make you the happiest, what's the best thing for you, is also what men want. Basic respect, a family,
a decent job, have a little house, you have a little bit of freedom, you have a little bit of income, and you get to raise kids, and you might be surprised that you actually want to take care of those kids, that you actually love those kids. You don't want those kids being raised on McDonald's and junk and things that are not good for their bodies. You might actually want to, actually care about them. You might be surprised. So let me read this final comment from LV, and I'm going to wrap up this live today. LV says, the best thing men and women alike can do is to get a skill in the basics, the possible. Stay healthy, learn self-defense, read, save, and so on. The social trendsetters always fade away. Exactly. Get back to the basics. Get back. I'm not saying that you have to go back to tradition or back to religion. You might not like certain traditions. You might not like certain religions, or you might have come from a certain culture. You might not like that culture. But get back to the basics. Get back to, what really matters. I mean, is what society really needs today, and what is what going to make society really happy? Is it really marches? Again, more power to the LGBTQ people, more power to you. But is it really going to make society better or make society happier if you get to indoctrinate kids at daycare, and you get to take over the responsibility of being parents in public schools, and trying to insult biological parents and hetero, quote unquote, normative relationships, and trying to take over music and movies and all this stuff? Is that really what's going to make you happy? Is that really what's going to make society better for everybody? Is that really what's good for you? It's good for us, good for everybody? I don't think so. I don't think so. If you are trans and you do believe in that kind of stuff, let me know in the comment sections below, and let me know why, becoming the dominant culture or dominant religion is going to make the society a better. And tell me why you think you have the right to take over public education too. Tell me why you think you have the right to dominate public culture. And it's not like Christians took over public education. There was never really a point. I mean, yeah, there was some influence, and depending on where you live, but there was never a point where public education was dominated by Christianity or whatever you hate or whatever you want to get rid of. There was never a point where it was mandatory that you go read the Bible or listen to a sermon, or force colleges to have religious ideals or principles, or go to talks by preachers or whatever. That kind of stuff never happened. And again, I'm not trying to defend Christianity over here. I'm just trying to figure out how these people think that they're justified. Feminists think that they've been manipulated, and that they've been controlled and manipulated throughout history, which has been proven false time and time again. But with this trans type of thing that's taken over the feminist movement, where does your justification come from? Where does your justification come from that you think that you get to control society when you're a minority, and when it's been proven pretty darn well and established that your lifestyle, it works for some of you, but it doesn't really work for everybody. It doesn't work for everybody. Hey, you think that being heteronormative or the nuclear family doesn't work for everybody. Why do you think that your lifestyle works for everybody? Everybody gets to pick and choose what they want. So again, wanted to wrap up and say my final things to women. Women, I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful. I do think women should have every right to work as much as men do, but I don't know why you women want to get out in this workplace. I don't know why you want to go out here and work, and again, a lot of you women are given really good jobs. You think that other men are getting jobs like you? No, you're getting little office jobs. You're sending emails, you're sending little messages, you're the little marketing team, you're the HR departments, you're not on ground zero. Men are still doing most of the physical jobs. Men are still doing most of the hard jobs, the analytical jobs, the mathematical jobs, the difficult jobs, the jobs that require analytics and et cetera, et cetera. But even when you are given the easy jobs, I still don't know why you as a woman would want to, get rid of the opportunity to become a mother, where a man gives you so much money. Man, a man's giving you everything he's got. A man's, providing and protecting and caring about you. Do you women really think that, it's better for you to just run around and have flings until you're 30 and 35, and then some of you women regret your decision and then think that Mr. Perfect should come around the corner when you wasted your entire 20s, having hot girl summer and traveling the world and being Little Miss Businesswoman and insulting men and all this? Do you really think that was the best way to go about things? I don't know. But I do care about you women. Again, I talk a lot about men. This is a channel focused on trying to help men and save men. But I recognize and I know that you women have been taken advantage of as well. These governments and these politicians and a lot of people have been taking advantage of you women. Hope that you saw that in this video. You women, you don't have a lot of good role models either. There's some women out there, some of them in this video, then some of these women, they might not be, all their ideas still might not be great, but they recognize, some of them recognize their privilege. Some of them recognize that women are in power, and some of them recognize that the feminist movement is not what you think it is. It's not going to help you. It's not going to protect you. It's not even for women anymore. The feminist movement is for multi-gender, people who are not heteronormative, people who are multi-gender, and all these divergent lifestyles. I mean, you can't deny that is what the feminist movement is. That's what it is. I mean, you can tell me that whatever you think that feminism is, or the identity of it, or how you apply feminism to your own life, but that's not what the feminist movement is. It's not what it is. Anyways, that's what I wanted to wrap this thing up. You have potential as a man. Nobody's out here encouraging you that you have potential, that you can succeed, you can be happy. A lot of people are telling you that you can't. A lot of people don't want to see you as the next millionaire or even having a decent little life, not making a decent little living. A lot of people don't want to see you men out here happy, but I'm here to tell you can be. It's not doom and gloom out here. These people really don't have as much power as they think they do. If they get more power, they certainly can make things a living hell, or pretty bad. But as of now, currently, they really don't have as much power as they like to pretend as they do, or say that they do. And you as a man have a lot more potential than you probably think that you do to change your life and to change the world. You can change the world. But people don't want to talk about that because they don't want you to to take action. They don't want you to have that influence. They don't want you to have that family. They don't want you training and developing and making your kids to be really smart and to be the next inventors, the next star athletes, the next success story. For some reason, for some reason, these people want everybody to be mediocre or failures or something. A lot of their own power comes from people believing that they have power. Exactly, SentQuest. These people don't really have as much power as they think they do. If you believe that they have power and you capitulate to them and you give them money, or you hand over your city councils and you hand over taxpayer money, yeah, they'll become more and more powerful. If you encourage these people or vote for these people and put them into positions of political influence, yeah, they'll become more powerful. But these people, they're a big minority and they're screaming really loud, and that's why a lot of people think that they're powerful. is because they're screaming really loud, and they're going to continue to do it. And again, I've been very clear. I don't hate trans people. I absolutely do not hate trans people, and I don't hate LGBTQ people, but and I respect your lifestyle, and you are free to do whatever the heck you want to do and to live the way you want to do, and you should never be marginalized. You should never be suppressed or ignored, or you should never be put down. You're valid. But on the other hand, again, you don't why did why did these people think that you have the privilege or the power or the obligation to control society? I don't get it. I know that you can get drunk on power, and these types of people love to criticize the rich and say that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they love to say things like this. I mean, but what about, I mean, as far as society goes, I mean, trans have an awful lot of power. I mean, and why is power sinful or power a negative thing in some people's hands, and it's not a problem when it's in your hands or the certain people's hands? It's again, there's really no moral principle here. You're really not sticking to any real principle with the pros and the cons and the consequences and the benefits and the consequences, the positives and the negatives. But the agenda of very. TV can be very toxic. Absolutely. Stop paying attention to these types of people. Unplug from the television. If you have a family, please don't let your kids watch the Disney Channel. Please don't let your kids be influenced by these types of people. They're influencing and affecting everything. They go after your kids on Animal Crossing. They go after your kids on all these kids programs, Sesame Street with Elmo and the Cookie Monster. They're going after your kids on on Minecraft. They're being extremely aggressive. So I hope that you parents hope that you actually care about your kids and they actually want to protect them, because they're coming after them, and they're coming after your kids, and they think that's a problem. That your little son Billy, he's attracted to a little girl in his class or across the street. He's attracted to little Susie. That's a problem to them, which is strange. It's funny that they say trust in the science, believe in the science. You have to obey the science, but yet they reject biology. They reject what makes us human. They again, with the Latin X thing, they want to strip gender away from whole entire languages. If we don't stop these people, they'll change and manipulate whole entire languages. And when they say they're coming after your culture, they're coming after your religion, they're coming after your life or your lifestyle, they're not joking. They're not joking. And this is, again, the same exact thing that happens under socialism and communism. These are the same people who pretend as if they care about multiculturalism. They pretend as if they care about, everybody from like the Polynesian islands, and they pretend as if they, care about, Mexican culture and all these different things. They don't care about these things. They ultimately want to destroy those things and to destroy your cultural celebrations and your lifestyle and your traditions. And if they're willing to destroy comics and take over media, to destroy Star Wars and Star Trek and Batman, He-Man, and everything else in the world, they're definitely going to attempt to destroy your own cultures, and they will, if you let them. They will attempt to do that. And to me, that's heartbreaking, because I love different cultures and I love different people all around the world, and they don't like it. It's really funny, because these are the same people who say that they're trying to protect you, just like they pretend as if they're trying to protect the minorities. With cultural appropriation, they act as if they're trying to protect you if other people wear certain hairstyles or clothes or different fashions that are culturally significant. Now, if it's a religious thing and it's sacred, maybe you shouldn't go around in public and disrespect, a religion or something, or a culture where something is, there's certain rules of certain things. But, they're trying to control the influence and the spread of your culture, or maybe people who actually love that culture. Maybe you actually love that culture and you want to wear an article of clothing or a style, or get it could be anything, a Polynesian tattoo. I mean, people are going to say these people are saying that that's a problem. So I'll end this video here. Don't let yourself be defeated. Don't let yourself be defeated. And in fact, if you have to walk away, you don't have to argue with people, but do try to find like-minded people. You'd be surprised. There are more like-minded people that for freedom and for justice and to support traditional families than you know. But a lot of them just decide to be silent because they don't want to argue with these people. They don't want to fight with them. They're working. They're actually productive members of society, and they don't want to waste their time. But so find these communities and find the people who are actually decent. Find the people who actually are halfway decent. Find the people who are your friends. And that's one reason I'm making this channel and I'm making these videos. And I'm trying to get out here and trying to help people. I am trying to find my community. I'm trying to find my friends, some people might say my tribe. I'm trying to find my people because I want more friends. I want to, connect with people who, actually care about life and freedom and, a little bit of love. I mean, where's the love? When's the last time you saw love from a feminist? When's the last time you saw some love from somebody, again, there's good trans and there's good people out there, but on the TV, when's the last time you saw somebody on TV who was trans, who was loving or supportive or anything? I've never seen them. I've never seen one. These people aren't about love. They're openly saying that, well, there's going to have to be casualties. There's men who are going to take themselves out because of this. There's men who are going to end themselves because of this. And they have no sadness and no remorse because of it. They absolutely do not care. And again, I mentioned that earlier in this video. I used to know somebody who who used to be a friend, and I don't know if he was divorced, if that was the cause of it, but there's men, and a lot more men are taking themselves out because of this kind of stuff. You're being told that you'll never have a family. You're told that you'll never have a marriage. You're told that you'll never have a kid. You're told that that you're a problem if you do want any of these things. You're told that you're going to get a worse job. You're told that, you should never try to have a better job, that, you should never try to succeed. You're told that as a man that you should never take risk. You're told that you should never meditate or have stoicism. You're told as a man that you should never have peace and quiet. You're told as a man that you should essentially suffer. That's your purpose in life, that a man is supposed to suffer. I don't want to be told that. I don't want to do that, especially when I sacrifice and I love and I try to help people and I do my best to make the world a better place. I mean, why are you making people, men suffer when they're the ones who have built, developed, and given, for everything? What you treat them as if they're the one, they're the problem, when they're not the problem. They've given everything. And again, it's funny. These people will never acknowledge, or seem to never want to acknowledge, that the whole modern world, their plumbing, the water, their electricity, their lives, the technology, the TV, their cell phones, everything was developed by men. The cars, the transportation, everything was developed, almost everything in the world has been developed by men and has benefited women and everybody else. I don't hear an ounce of gratitude. I don't hear a thank you. I don't see any respect. I don't see any love. In fact, you're trying to steal the corporations. You're trying to steal the money, the businesses, and the positions of power that men have earned, that men have developed. Men earned these things. But you think you deserve them. What have you developed? What products have you developed? How have you, made people's lives better? How have you made people happy? How have you reduced diseases? How have you saved people's lives? How have you provided food for people, shelter, fire, water, electricity? What the heck have feminists done that has benefited anybody? Tell me. Tell me in the comment section below. What good has feminism actually done for the world? Tell me. I'd like to know. So, my friends, I'm going to end this video here today. I know it's been a little bit long, but I hope that you men, you see your potential. I hope that women, that you also see your potential. Hope that you actually think about your happiness. Think about what you want. Both men and women. Don't think about what feminists tell you that you should be or that you should do or that would be morally correct or that, would be best for the their version of the communita or, social justice. Sit down and ask yourself what is going to make you happy and what would, what's the best. And then decide what you want to do. Don't consult feminists. Women, when you decide what you want to be and what you want to do, you don't have to go to a feminist and get their approval. Same for men. When you decide what kind of life you want to have, what kind of lifestyle, where you want to go, what you want to say, what's your culture, what kind of job you want to have, you don't need to consult a feminist. You don't need to, get their approval. You don't need that. What the heck, man? Our people, they're not your leaders. They're not your superiors, and they don't have control of you, and you shouldn't allow them to. So, my friends, have a beautiful life. I will be here tomorrow at 12 a.m. as well. This is the Daddy Dating Advice, or the Daddy Knows Best, I guess a radio show, a big podcast. I hope that I can get the word out. If you'd like to help me get the word out on this channel, please help by liking, subscribing, even sharing this with your friends and with your family. I know that you have friends and family, maybe even sons and daughters, and they need to hear a message of support. They need to be encouraged. They need to hear somebody tell them. I hope that you'll do it, and I hope that I can be a part of that, where I tell people, young people, and everybody else, you have potential. You can make a better life for yourself. You have the freedom to, develop and encourage and make the world a better place for you and for better people. And that is really what capitalism and a lot of these things are all about. You get to work and to develop and to produce something that you enjoy producing or that you're skilled at, that other people want and that other people need. And we all get what we want. It's a fair exchange. But with these people, they don't care about fair exchange. They don't care about you. They think it's good that gas is $5 a gallon. They think it's good that you can't get baby formula because they don't want you to have babies, or they don't want your baby to be they don't want you to have more babies or healthy babies. They don't care that you're having a decreased way of living. People are becoming poorer and poorer because of their actions and because of the things these people do. They don't have any remorse. They don't have any sadness. In fact, they brag about their electric cars and they brag about their lifestyles. These politicians making $200,000 or more when they should be paid nothing. They're public servants. They should be paid nothing. And almost $200 is nothing. That's nothing. They're getting checks and handouts, and they're doing deals and negotiations, and they're getting secret money from all kinds of people. The $200,000, that's the beginning. That's nothing to these types of politicians. So, my friends, have a beautiful one. I appreciate it if you would support me. I would like to make a full-time living doing this as a radio show, as in a way. I think I'll try to get, again, you're under no obligation to support me, and I have no expectation upon you. But if you would like to help me out or support me in any kind of way, let me know if that's a good idea, because, you know, I'd like to, you know, be a force for good. Be a force for good in the world. Let me know if this is a good idea. And I will see you soon, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Feel that potential. Start thinking about that potential. Write down some goals on a piece of paper. Write down some goals. Sit down and say, how do I want to make my life better? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? How do I want to live? And set out and think about how you can do those things and make it happen. Make it happen. You know, don't control yourself. Stop listening to these news where all these people are arguing. You know, there's always a crime somewhere. There's always something bad that's happening. But don't fill your mind with the negative. I mean, we do need to pay attention to some bad things that happen, but you don't need to hear about a murder every day in your life. You don't need to hear about some crime. And when they politicize it for their own political agendas and these kinds of things, you don't need to be listening to the news. You need to be working on your game. You need to be working on that hustle. You know what I'm saying? So I'll see everybody. Have a beautiful one. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a part and watching here at the Daddy Dating Advice channel, the Daddy Advice channel, I guess you could say. And, I'll see you soon, everybody. Have a beautiful one. Have a good one. Stay well out there. Stay beautiful. And please get in that comment section and jump into this conversation with me. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you soon. Peace out, everybody.